Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 2 of the breakdown of the 40-gallon shallow reef. Now, if you saw part 1, it was a live stream the other day. It might have been this week or last week. Who knows when I upload this video. But either way, it was a removal of colonies, fragging out what I could. And as you can see, there's only a little bit of rock left and one hydrophora. There are bits and pieces of like PC rainbow and some encrusting montipore and stuff on the rock. But other than that, I just have a little bit left to remove. And as you can see, about I'd say 50%, if not 75% of the rock in this tank is gone. I only plan on keeping this a little bit, which we'll clean off with the pressure washer and then put it down here in the sump for our beneficial bacteria. Now, before I get into the video, I want to just clarify some things because there's been a lot of questions. People were saying, hey, I thought you weren't doing imported. I thought you were moving. Why are you putting up a new system? Let me just break it down here for those of you who are asking and don't really know what's going on. So, if you guys are not aware of this, I do plan on moving within the next year. Now, we are buying land, building a house. That process is a pain in the butt, and it's not officially going to start until the beginning of the year. Now, we have a ton of coral in the 300-gallon reef. I've removed so much coral over the last few months, and we have all 3 low boys are pretty much packed, for the exception of this one needs another rack, but we'll take care of that later. Anyway, my plan is to slowly break down the 300-gallon and sell off all that coral and hopefully have 95% of that coral gone before we officially have to move. So I just have to kind of play it by ear when the process and when the closing date on the house is going to be, and just kind of plan everything out, because as I mentioned, breaking down this much coral, I know it's hard to see with all the blue, but there's a ton of coral in that tank, and breaking all that down in a short period of time can cause quite a bit of stress for the system, and I want to try to avoid that. So what I decided to do in the meantime is just get rid of the 40-gallon shallow reef. Now, initially when I set this tank up, it was going to be a grow out where you guys can do a little time lapse and see how it grows. Now, unfortunately, it didn't turn into that. But what I ended up doing is, because of all the shading and when we did the overhaul on the 300, where I moved about 20 colonies from that tank, due to shading and just corals not getting along, I ended up using this 40-gallon display as a holding tank. Essentially, it just was holding corals that I could not keep in the 300, and I did a lot of cut to order on the website, and it just turned into a cutting tank, basically a smaller display tank that I just cut from. And it really never grew because I was fragging it every single week. So it served its purpose, it did a great job, and it was time to move on to other things. Now, my plan is to go ahead and disconnect it from the 300-gallon. As you can see, we have our return line, our drain, which then I will disconnect over here, cap them off so it's not an issue, and then plumb everything down into this sump, which I will have to get the name. I'll put it on the screen. But I end up getting 2 of these sumps and this skimmer, which I believe is a Coral Life skimmer, for 150 bucks. Now, the baffles were a little messed up, but I went in there and re-glued them, no problem. So the sump is, definitely going to serve a purpose, and it's not going to be an issue. Now, I am reusing my Jabo DCS 6000 from my 125-gallon. You guys remember this pump? So we're going to be using that for the return pump, and then just some basic filter socks and this skimmer, and that's pretty much it. Of course, we'll have an ATO and the heater, normal stuff for the setup. And yeah, so you guys will see that here in this video. We're going to swap it out, do all the plumbing, and of course, I'm going to keep the 4 HD Prime LED lights, and that's about it. So it's going to sit in the same spot. I mean, there's not really much more to say other than I'm pretty much keeping everything, just adding a sump to it. Now, I will be probably 3D printing some special feet for the racks. I might do like a staircase type of rack. I haven't decided yet. And we'll just kind of fill in the majority of this. As for stocking, I will keep the 6-line wrasse, which you probably see swimming around, and then we'll grab the yellow tang from the other low boy. So I'll have a 6-line and yellow tang, both utility fish, and they'll take care of everything. Now, yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, it's a relatively easy process. It's probably the easiest build and cheapest build I've ever done. I am still waiting on a delivery from BRS today, which will be for the EB8 bar, because that's the only thing I'm really missing. I have an extra PM1 module with temperature and pH probe, and I just need the EB8 and the Aquabuzz cable, and then I can control it through the Apex. But other than that, I pretty much have everything. It's a pretty simple setup. And if you guys are wondering what I'm actually going to be importing, it's going to be easy stuff. Zoas, LPS, mushrooms, that's it. You guys know that I do 99.9% SPS out of the main display, and this will just be a simple beginner coral, just kind of add some variety and some spice to the website, because I got a lot of beginners that come to the site, and I know a lot of people want to support the channel, but I don't want you buying SPS if you're not ready for it. So this will give you guys an opportunity to support the channel and get the coral that fits your skill level. So that's about it. So with that long introduction, let's go ahead and get started by disconnecting the tank, capping off that piping, and cleaning everything. And yeah. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Quick update on everything that's happened so far. As you guys saw in the video, I disconnected the drain line, the return line. They're just kind of draining off into this 5-gallon bucket. Now, as for this tubing, I do plan on keeping the 3/4 inch ball valve. I'm going to put a coupling on it and then connect it directly to the pump. That way I still have the controllability. It is a DC pump, so I can dial the flow down, but just in case I need to make any fine adjustments, I can use the ball valve. Now, I do plan on keeping this tubing, or, well, I have the same type of tubing, but extending it a little bit longer over to the return section there. As for the drain, I'm going to use this 1-inch barb to kind of, it's got threaded. It will fit on the sump there, and I'll just directly connect the 1-inch drain to the sump. So it's pretty easy. Now, the only thing left to do, as you guys can see, I already took the water out, removed the lights. It's just ready to be removed. So I'm going to take this whole tank, bring it outside, pressure wash it, make it look pretty, and come back in here and pretty much just plumb everything up. As you can see, it's relatively simple. Still waiting on the EB8 bar, so I might have to finish this process tomorrow, but either way, it's not too bad. Now, as for the lighting here, I definitely have to get in here and clean it off. It's pretty dusty. I mean, it's been down here in the fish room. I haven't cleaned them yet, and it's been, what, almost a year, maybe? Quite? Something like that, but either way, those need to be cleaned. Now, I do plan on using about 20 gallons of my storage water here that's left over for shipping core, whatever I don't use today when I ship out, and then top that off, put some RODI in there, put some salt in there, and let it run for, I don't know, a week or so before I start ordering coral. But other than that, it's pretty easy setup. Just have to kind of do the dirty work, clean it, and replumb it. So let's go and get started with that. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Now, it's been a couple days since we broke down, removed the 40 gallon from the 300, rebuilt it, and gave it its own sump. Now, in this video, I just want to give you guys an update, and so instead of actually making a second video, I just figured I'd put it all in one for the sake of saving some time. So, again, it's been a few days, so I want to talk about everything that's going on with this setup so you guys know what's up. So, first things first, stocking-wise, we have one 6-line wrasse and one yellow tang. Now, that will be it for the stocking. I will probably throw in some inverts, some snails, and, you know, the generic stuff like that. But when it comes to fish, that's it. Now, for those of you who are wondering why I selected those two, well, they're utility fish. The wrasse is really helps with pest control, helps with, you know, flatworms, nudibranchs, the generic stuff that comes in on imported coral colonies. Regardless of the wholesaler and regardless of how many times you dip it, there's always a chance that you'll get something. And this guy does a great job of keeping that stuff in check. Now, when it comes to the yellow tang, I just like the yellow tang, but it does also help keep, you know, the frag plugs clean if algae was to ever come up, or if anything was to come in on the rocks themselves, they'll have something to nip at there. So, 2 utility fish, and yeah, they're fine. They'll do good. So, yeah, the setup itself, again, as I mentioned before in the first part, it was really easy. So we have our 4 HD primes on our AB Plus spectrum, same intensity that we had for the original setup. We'll see how the soft corals react. If I have to, I will dial the lights down since they are at 100%. We'll adjust that when the new corals get in here. Now, I did go ahead and pressure wash everything. The tank is pretty clean. It's hard to tell, but there's a little bit of white coralline algae on the back, dead coralline algae. Nothing crazy, but other than that, it's good to go. We have 2 Nero 5s with the NEM guards that I make here with a 3D printer. And before someone puts in the comment section, yes, I know that the new Nero 5s come with NEM guards. Finally, right? But for those of you who are that have Nero 5s that don't have the NEM guards, I do sell them on my website. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of them, and I still sell many every single week. So they're still popular, and of course I added 2 for this tank just so I wouldn't suck up that poor little wrasse. Even though he's pretty smart, but there's always a chance that the power heads will snag him. But other than that, that's about it for the main display. When it comes to the rack system, you guys will see this in a later video. I have created some 15.5-inch stacking rack pillars here. You guys will see that with egg crate. I'm working on the 3rd one so I can combine the 2. And you guys will see that in a later video. I'm pretty excited. I'm not sure if I'm going to introduce them to the website. We'll see. If you're interested, you know, let me know. But anyway, moving down to the sump, and then we'll get into what I dose and all that kind of stuff. Now, you guys remember I mentioned that I got 2 of these sumps and this skimmer brand new in the box for 150 bucks. Now, the sump is obviously a little bit cheaper. It was cracked in the box. Both of them were, even though they're brand new, so I had to come in here and re-glue some of these baffles. But other than that, no issue. Now, the sump is made for a refugium, but as you can see, I don't have a refugium. I have the skimmer in there, and the reason for that is the skimmer's too big to fit in the return section with the return pump. So, just the way it is, it works out fine. I'm not really going to have a lot of nutrients in this tank, so a refugium really isn't a necessity. Now, when it comes to filtration here, we just have 2 basic filter socks, and if I do plan on adding carbon or anything like that, I will print out one of my 4-inch media cups that fit in the filter sock slot, so I can throw some carbon in there if I ever need to. But other than that, it's pretty basic. This skimmer is actually really good. It's only been running for about a day now, and you can see that it's already pulling out some stuff. I have it down pretty low because it is breaking in. Once it breaks in completely in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to dial it in to its final spot. But other than that, pretty simple. We'll clean the filter socks every few days. We'll come in here, empty the cup out as needed. We'll clean out the middle sponge there. It basically is a bubble trap. Probably once every couple months. And this Jabo DCS 6000, which was originally on the 125, is doing pretty good for being a pretty old pump. Plumbing wise, pretty easy. Use the same plumbing here for the drain. It's just a 1-inch tube, and then I just got a longer piece of this half-inch stuff for the return. We have our normal setup here, the PM2 module for the temperature and pH. And then, of course, an EVA, brand new, that I talked about earlier for all the controllability. And then I have my Nero 5 controllers here, and then all the power brick holders that I make for the 3D printing for the HD primes. So they're all organized and kind of out of the way. So that's about it. ATO, we have the micro ATO, which you guys can see there. You probably saw when I got in there before. And a 5-gallon top-off container. So that's pretty much it. It's a very basic setup, nothing crazy, and that's what I was looking for. I don't need anything complex. I don't feel like dosing. I don't feel like having a refugium. I'm not really doing anything other than feeding the fish every couple days and just doing water changes. So that's about it. All right, so let's go to move into the bacteria that I decided to dose now that the setup is official. Now, because I am reusing some of the dry rock that I had from the previous setup, there is still beneficial bacteria. I did add a couple pieces of regular uncured dry rock. This is just in here temporarily for a hiding spot for the wrasse. Once I get the racks, I will remove it and put it in the sump. But anyway, I did actually add some bacteria when I initially set up the system. We had the Dr. Tim's Eco Balance and the Aqua Vitro Seed. Now, I dose both of these bacteria to the 300 every single week, and it didn't hurt to just toss it in here to help kickstart or at least bump up the beneficial bacteria that was currently in this setup, kind of getting it ready for coral. But other than that, it's pretty easy, very basic. I mean, there's not really a lot to say. It's a very basic setup, and that's what I'm looking for, trying to keep it simple, because we're only doing zoas, LPS, and mushrooms. I mean, you don't need anything crazy, you don't need any special dosing, you don't need anything really insane to get those things happy. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Any questions, let me know. Now, I will do a separate one on the rack system, and then when we get some coral in, we'll cut it up and show you guys the whole process. But yeah, any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys later. All right, peace.